This is a real account of entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, and unsure. Social media would have you think you have a great thought, then boom, you blow up. It is the farthest thing from the normal backstory. Here we will air the real entrepreneur struggle, from customer service, vendors, and the day-to-day business. Welcome to Business After Dark with Sharice Chambers.
Hey y'all, did you miss me? We are back in action for season 7. What is going on? How's your mother, brother, sister, cousin doing? I hope you're doing well. Of course, as always, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm gonna dive right back into it. I have been in my author bag, okay? If you don't know, my first book, picked up by a publisher, will be released during the Black Friday season. Yes, during the Christmas season. And you girls been MIA for a multitude of reasons, but we're back. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm feeling focused. But I did want to talk about something today that's been sitting on my heart a little heavy. I've been sitting on this for a while because I like to collect a little bit of data before I get into the circumstances and situations, okay? Because I do case studies. So if you grew up in the South like me, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, a good Southern belle, you've probably heard the saying, eat the meat, spit out the bones. And if you've never heard that before, basically it means take what applies and learn what you can and leave the rest. Everything's not for you. Every opinion's not for you. Every strategy is not for you. Every conversation is not for your current season. And lastly, I've been thinking a lot about, to be honest, because we're living in a time where opinions seem to carry more weight than expertise. I say this as someone who's been in entrepreneurship for almost 20 years. I've watched the landscape change. I've watched social currency become more valuable than documentation, receipts, lived and experience, credentials, and actual results. And let's be honest, when you're a woman building a business publicly, the level of awareness required to simply show up in the world is already a heavy lift. Everything becomes commentary, every clip becomes a debate, every sentence gets dissected, and every decision becomes a conversation about what a woman should or should not be doing. And it made me ask the question, are we creating awareness or are we causing harm? Because the truth is, everything someone says is not going to apply. Every woman's capacity is different. Every woman's family structure is different. Every woman's support system is different. Every woman's business model is different. Every woman's season of life is different. You see where I'm going with this? And just because her decision does not look like yours, that does not automatically make it wrong. It may simply mean that her decision belongs to her. Now, I want to talk about this through the lens of entrepreneurship, ambition, motherhood, support, and time. As a childless woman, I do not sit in spaces pretending that I understand the fullness of motherhood. I don't. But what I do understand is capacity. I understand decision making. I understand what it feels like to have goals, responsibilities, expectations, and dreams all pulled up on you at the same time. I understand what it means to quantify your time and realize that what you're currently doing may not support what you're saying you're trying to go. In Rachel Rogers' book I read, We Should All Be Millionaires, we talk about how she had to quantify the amount of time she was spending in the car taking her children to school. And when she did the math, it realized it was costing her hours. Hours that was pulling from her productivity, hours that were pulling from what she was building. So she made a decision. She hired support. And people celebrated that. They saw that as strategy. They saw that as making a wealthy woman decision. They say that and they saw that as her not making her, in her own words, a broke ass decision. But then Emma Grede said during her book tour most recently that she's a 3-hour mom, and the internet wrote dissertations, baby. Before someone says, Sharice, you're being naive, I want to be clear. I am not naive. I'm not dismissing the complexity of motherhood. I'm not dismissing privilege. I'm not dismissing access. I'm not dismissing support systems. I'm not dismissing the reality that many women do not have the same resources, the same village, or the same options. I understand that. I observe that. I coach women through that. I sit with women who are constantly trying to figure out how to run the business, be present for the families, walk in purpose, pay bills, grow the revenue, protect their peace, and still have something left for themselves at the end of the day. And none of it's easy. That is exactly why this conversation requires more nuance. Because a lot of times when we talk about women, work, ambition, family, we pull from the worst case scenario. We pull from fear. We pull from what went wrong. We pull from what we saw happen to someone else. We pull from our own lived in experiences. And sometimes, without realizing it, we're projecting those fears onto women who are simply making different choices. But leadership requires discernment. Entrepreneurship requires discernment. Building a life that reflects your values requires discernment. And discernment is not the same as judgment. Discernment says, what can I learn from this? Judgment says, how can I condemn this because it does not look like what I would do? And those are two different things. I recently watched a video of Alex, I'm probably going to pronounce his last name wrong, Hormozi, Hormozi, if you happen to want to look it up, speaking to a room full of entrepreneurs. A man stood up and asked a question that so many entrepreneurs wrestle with. He basically asked, how do I show up for my family and still run my business? And Alex asked with what I call an and question. Because life is not either or. A lot of life is both and. How do I build the business and remain present? How do I pursue purpose and honor my family? How do I create wealth and protect my peace? How do I grow and not abandon myself? How do I make decisions based on my values and not just what others people's expectations? This is the real work. And honestly, that is at the core of what I teach entrepreneurs: quantifying your time, quantifying your goals, quantifying the cost of your decisions, because every decision has a cost. But I know we don't always like to talk about that part. We like to talk about the dreams, we like to talk about the vision, we like to talk about the launch, the revenue, the big opportunities, the grants, the contracts, the stage, the podcast, the books, the business. But every decision has a cost. Sometimes that cost is money. Sometimes that cost is time. Sometimes that cost is comfort. Sometimes that cost is being misunderstood. Sometimes the cost is outgrowing the version of yourself that used to make decisions from survival. And sometimes the cost is admitting that the way you've been doing things can no longer carry the version of you that you're becoming. That part right there will preach. Because the most empowering part of this work is realizing that you get to decide, not social media, not strangers on the internet, not your friends, not your family, not people who will never be responsible for the outcomes of your choices. You get to decide. You get to decide what success looks like in this season. You get to decide what what support you need. You get to decide what sacrifices make sense. You get to decide what is no longer sustainable. You get to decide what you are no longer willing to carry. And that does not mean everybody will understand it. Let me say that again. That does not mean everyone will understand it. Some people will not understand your decisions until they see the fruit. Some people will not understand your boundaries until they see your peace. Some people will not understand your investment until they see your growth. Some people will not understand your shift until they see you standing in the thing you prayed for. And even then, some people still won't understand. And that cannot be the thing that stops you. Because if you've been connected with me for a while, you know I love a good case study. And after reading more than a dozen autobiographies and memoirs, I've noticed a common thread in some successful people's stories: humble beginnings, a dream, a relentless pursuit of purpose, and a willingness to make decisions that other people did not always understand at first. The stories may have different details, but the foundation is often the same. Someone made a decision, someone had a vision, someone paid a cost, and someone kept going. And that is where I have to look at my own life, because I can sit here and talk about strategy all day. I can talk about numbers. I can talk about business models. I can talk about revenue streams. I can talk about funding readiness. I can talk about all of that. But I also know what it feels like when the path does not look like the plan. Divorce was not on my vision board. Bankruptcy wasn't on my vision board. Isolation was not on my vision board. Having to rebuild parts of myself while still showing up for my business was not on that vision board. And yet here I am, still standing, still building, still learning, still becoming, still believing that my best is yet to come. And that's why I'm so careful when I see people dissecting women's decisions like they're case studies without remembering that those are real people with real lives, real families, real pressures, real responsibilities, and real purpose. Because here is what I know for sure: you do not know the full cost of someone's assignment. You do not know what they prayed through. You do not know what they survived. You do not know what they had to release. You do not know what they had to rebuild. You do not know what support they had to ask for in order to keep going. So maybe the question is not, do I agree with her decision? Maybe the better question is, what can I learn from how she made the decision? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Take what applies, leave what does not. But do not let the noise pull you away from your own North Star, because the noise will always be there. There will always be someone with an opinion. There will always be someone who thinks you should have done it differently. There will always be someone who believes your ambition is too much or not enough. There will always be someone measuring your life against a standard that they do not even have to live by. But you cannot build around your life around the noise. You can't build your business around the noise. You can't build your future around people who are not assigned to your purpose. So I want to leave you with this. What is stopping you from becoming the best version of you? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it comparison? Is it the need to be understood? Is it the opinions of people who are not even qualified to advise you? Is it the version of yourself that had to survive but now needs permission to build? Because it's time for both of us to tune out the noise and get laser focused on our North Star. The path may not look like an original plan. Mine certainly didn't. Isn't. But those detours still carry me to my next level. And I believe the same can be true for you. Your best is yet to come. Be encouraged. As always, I have two things for you. I'm rooting for your win. Yes, always. And I hope that you have the best day ever. I'll talk to you guys later.
Building a successful business isn't about the endless hustle. It's about clarity, strategy, and making decisions that truly drive growth. Cherise Chambers, founder of the Unaesthetic Entrepreneur Academy, knows what it takes to break through the barriers that hold entrepreneurs back. Her academy helps small business owners scale by providing the tools and strategies they need for lasting success. In the Unaesthetic Entrepreneur Academy, members gain financial clarity, master their business structure, and learn how to set their sights on their first million. With a supportive community and expert guidance, the Unaesthetic Entrepreneur Academy is the place for entrepreneurs who are ready to take their business to the next level. Join today and start building the business you've always dreamed of. Visit unaestheticentrepreneur.com to sign up.